여러분, 안녕하세요. 오늘은 잡채와 알리의 갈비를 만들어 복선입니다. Hi everyone. Today on the menu, we're going to be making japchae and we're going to be making LA kalbi. I'm really excited to show you guys. So let's get cooking. So normally japchae can be vegetarian and it can also have meat. So I'm going to go the vegetarian route. So more veggies so we can kind of balance out the meat a little bit. This is the cut of LA kalbi that I got. It's just basically short rib. Try to get the ones that are not too thick, because when you're marinating it, the thinner it is, the easier it is to get it tender within the marinade, or you have to depend on length of time to tenderize. We're going to be doing the marinade first. Marinating the meat does take a little bit of time. I would say around an hour or so is okay. If you wanted stronger flavor, then 2 hours, even like 4 hours in advance at room temperature would obviously be the best. The marinade will be made predominantly in the blender. So we're gonna cut up the ingredients first. Some very important ingredients that you would need: a Korean pear. It looks like a huge yellow apple, an actual apple, just any red skin apple. I wouldn't really suggest granny apple because granny apple is a little too hard and also a little too tart. So half of a small onion. So Korean pear is actually really vital to the marination because Korean pear is what is going to give the sweetness in the marinade. Kiwi is another thing I want to mention. If you're using a thicker cut of meat, you would need kiwi. So you know how when you eat like things like kiwi and pineapple, when you eat too much of it, your tongue starts to sting. That enzyme is going to help break down meat a lot faster. Let's do the chopping first. You do need to peel it though, so I'm just gonna peel it really quick. I'm gonna peel this one as well. Okay, I'm gonna put everything in a blender. I'm gonna just cut into smaller pieces so it's easier for the blender to chop onion in. We're gonna add a little bit of water. The water is only there to help the blender make it into like a sauce. I'm not gonna say what I think it looks like. So we're gonna add the extra ingredients now. 3/4 cup soy sauce, 1/4 cup sugar, 1/4 cup mirin, 2 tablespoons sesame oil, garlic. I got 6 cloves of garlic. I'm actually gonna put it back in the blender and just blitz it really quickly one more time just to make sure everything is nice and even. Literally, that's just that. We already finished the marinade. I have a long container, the length of my meat. We're gonna grab a ladle, grab a little bit of the marinade so that it can cover the bottoms. You don't need too much of it. It's kind of like our lasagna episode. You just need a little bit on the bottom. Oh, I forgot something in the marinade. I forgot green onion. Let me put my green onion into my blender. Now we're good. Okay, I'm just gonna use the ladle to mix it a little bit. We're gonna layer the meat so that it's one layer at a time, as if we're actually making lasagna. We're gonna grab another ladle full. We wanna make sure every single piece of meat is covered with some juice. One thing I forgot to mention, for things like kalbi, because at the butcher, they usually cut it when the meat is frozen. So when they're passing through the bone, chances are there's gonna be little shards of bone that might end up coming off and sticking onto the meat blade. So what I usually like to do is give it a really quick rinse. Like, you're not washing it and rubbing the shit out of it. Make sure that any leftover bone shard from the meat cutting machine isn't stuck on your short ribs. And then you can just pour the rest of the marinade over it, and then we're just gonna let this sleep for the next hour or so. Our marinade is done. Okay, so we're gonna do the sauce for the japchae first. There's only 3 ingredients, technically 4 for the sauce, but for the actual seasoning that we're gonna be putting into the japchae, it's only just 3 ingredients. Sugar, the amount, I really don't know, maybe 1 tablespoon. I'm just kind of eyeballing it here. Soy sauce, we'll do 1.5. And then oyster sauce, also 1 tablespoon. And this is the oyster sauce that I'm using. I'm just gonna, before we get started on the thing, I'm gonna actually start boiling the water. I'm gonna turn it on high heat, and then japchae noodles. So japchae noodles is actually just sweet potato starch noodles. I would recommend that you get this. It is not replaceable with any other ingredient. I'm actually gonna put the vermicelli in when the water is still cold. Here's the secret ingredient, or the little hack I'm gonna show you guys. Normally when you go to a Korean restaurant, you see that the japchae is a very nice golden brown color. So I have learned that a trick to get the color correct without making it too salty is actually dark soy sauce. So dark soy sauce literally tastes like soy sauce, but it's just darker in color. It takes less soy sauce to get the same color without making it extra salty. And you don't need too much. I did like almost 1 tablespoon. I'm literally forced to do this. I'm doing this against my will. This is Onibro's dream. I'm just a puppet. He is the ventriloquist. I'm not even getting paid minimum wage here, guys. Okay, please save me. So the water is boiling. I'm gonna set a timer, 6 minutes. Because it is made out of starch, as you're boiling it, it will thicken the water as well. So if you just leave it there and you don't touch it, it tends to stick to the bottom of the pot, and then you're gonna get burnt pieces of noodle. That's like a really pain in the ass to wash off. I think this is done. So what I'm gonna do is pour this down the drain. I'm going going to strain this and just rinse it in cold water just a little bit to stop it from cooking. To prevent it from sticking, I'm gonna just douse it in a bunch of sesame oil once again. I would say 2 tablespoons, but go with your heart. I love sesame oil, so I usually like to go a little extra. Now we're gonna move on to the veggie component. I have napa. I happen to just have napa in the fridge because I was eating hot pot on the weekend. So I wanna use up the cabbage that I already have in the fridge. Japchae is quite flexible. You can just use whatever veggies that you want or you fancy. Try to aim for equal thinness because you don't want to eat like noodles and then a big chunk of meat and then a big chunk of veggie. So we're gonna try to cut it thinly, like a chopstick width. Next vegetable I'm gonna use is mushroom. We're just gonna cut these into thin slices. Okay, I think I'm gonna cut this much. I don't think I'm gonna cut all of it. I don't wanna be drowning in vegetables either. So I still want some color in my japchae. So I'm just gonna use some green onions to make it a bit more vibrant in color. And this time, because I'm trying to make it pretty, I'm gonna cut it diagonally. So that's like nice long strips. Angle your knife so that it's facing 45 degrees, even more, it doesn't matter. Just make sure you're not perpendicular to it and then just slice sideways. And one last ingredient, carrot. Again, also for color and also for crunch. You don't need the whole carrot. I'm only using a little bit. I'm gonna get a little nub of it and I'm gonna peel it. I'm gonna cut one piece off of the carrot. So what I always like to do is just cut off a little bit of the carrot to make a little flat surface so that I can be more secure on my cutting board. So I'm gonna just do as thin as I can. Once you have these nice flat pieces of carrot holding it down, you're gonna keep chopping it lengthwise. Then after you're done, you should be able to get nice little julienne carrots. We can finally start cooking our japchae. We're gonna be doing the vegetables first, and then at the very end, we're gonna add in the noodles, and that's literally japchae finished. I'm gonna do medium high. We're gonna wait for the oil to heat up, and then we're gonna be putting in all the vegetables in first, except for the mushroom, because mushroom is very porous and spongy. So if you put in the mushrooms first, it's just gonna soak up all the oil. There's not gonna be any oil left over for your vegetables. Cabbage, carrot. I'm gonna actually put the cabbage and the carrot in first. Those will take the longest to cook through. We're just stir frying until it's half cooked. Once it's half cooked, we can start putting in the green onion and the mushroom. Toss that around, and we're gonna put the sauce in too. The veggies are almost cooked through, so I'm gonna use the sauce that I made earlier. So the veggies are pretty much cooked. I'm gonna put all the noodles in, and then we're gonna stir fry and make sure everything is nice and even. Oh, you know what I'm missing? MSG. I'm gonna put it in the bowl, and we're gonna set this aside until we're ready to eat. So I actually like to cut them a little shorter so that when you're picking it up with chopsticks, you're not picking up a piece of noodle that's like literally 2 feet long or something. Give it a few cuts. And you can see now the noodles are like a reasonable length. Okay, I have a little plate that's ready here for the cooked kalbi. So normally people like to strain out the bits of the onion and the pear and the carrot, but obviously I didn't do that. You guys saw earlier, I didn't do that. So I'm gonna show you guys a way of cooking it with the extra fruit, because I actually like it with the fruit because it adds a little bit of extra texture and also extra flavor. But to prevent it from burning, I'll show you a way of cooking it where it won't burn. It'll caramelize really beautifully. So cold pan, heat is off. Grab a few slices. And I'm also gonna grab a ladle and grab a little bit of extra marinade. 1 ladleful. This ladle is not very big, so I'm gonna guess it's like 1/3 cup, just so that I can sit into the bottom of the pan a little bit. Now we're gonna turn on the heat. Medium. You don't want it high, you want to use it medium. So the reason why you don't want to put the meat on an already hot pan is because of the extra sugar in the apples and the pears and stuff. If you put it right away to a hot pan, it's going to sear right away and it's going to burn right away. But you can see it's boiling already. So I'm just going to turn it down a little bit so it doesn't burn too crazy. Oh, it looks really pretty from this camera, eh? It looks pretty from this camera. And it's gonna take a little while. Since it's not on high heat or anything, it's like a nice, relaxing, slow-ish cook. So this side is cooked. I'm just gonna give it a flip. I'm gonna move it around the pan to make sure that all the glaze is getting picked up. Just do a few more flips. Make sure that both sides are equally cooked. Grab a little bit of the extra sauce on the side. Make sure everything is nice and coated. I think this one is done. So I'm gonna turn the heat off once again to make sure that the pot is not scorching. I just have a pan here. I'm just gonna lay it down and collect all my ribs while we keep cooking, because we have a few to go through. I also have steamed rice in the rice cooker. Last bat. My bowl of like marinade is still sitting beside me, so I can still feel like the sting of the onion. Can you mute the mic? I'm gonna blow my nose. I'll be right back. 30 seconds, guys. Hold on. I had to go through 3 tissue papers. I was like, fuck, if you have to hear that, I'm gonna die. Can everyone stop spamming Pet Oni Bro? Because he doesn't deserve it, okay? He did one nice thing and everyone loses their shit, okay? I stream 4 days a week and no one's like, oh wow, Giri, Pet Giri, Giri's so cool, Pet Giri. No one gives a shit about me. Oni Bro does one good thing and everyone just loses their mind. I hate this. Pom Pom, come back to me. Only you love me, right, Pom Pom? I literally said that and Pom Pom walked away. Okay, I'll be right back, everyone. Hold on. Chopsticks, fork, knife. What are you doing? Plating now, plating. I'm gonna try to plate it really pretty because I do want to take pictures for the thing. Guys, I'm gonna use my hands, I'm sorry. Look at the char on this one. Oh, picture time. And there you have it, the finished product. We have some steamed rice, japchae, and pan-fried LA kalbi. I hope you enjoyed your time cooking with me. If you guys try out the recipe, please tell me how it turns out for you guys. Leave it down in the comments below. I can't wait to see your comments and your results. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope to see you guys next time in the next video. Bye, everyone.